So lovely good evening today, the 6th of June 2023. To present Camnet Television News, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Our top stories in the news tonight: former Deputy Inspector General of Police to know her fate in corruption case. KAMPASA land claimants criticize Lands Minister for labeling them as CADRES. Government urged to rescind its stance on purchasing of soybeans. In international news, Kenyans protest against plans to hike taxes. And in sports news, CHIPOLOPOLO arrive in South Africa for camp ahead of Elephants clash.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Hello again. The news in detail. Residents of Lusaka West have called for increased police patrols, citing various criminal activities that have made them feel unsafe. Speaking to Camnet News, the residents say a number of suspected murders have been recorded in the community and the victims are being dumped in the bushes along the road. They have since called on the Zambia police to ensure that culprits are brought to book and made as an example to warn other would-be criminals. More in this report.
Zambia, under Sustainable Development Goal number 16, aspires to be a safe and peaceful society by 2030, but security at community level continues to be a challenge. This is an area in Lusaka West along Mungu Road where residents have expressed concern on the security around the neighborhood after the body of a man who they suspect to have been murdered was found in these bushes. What has concerned them is that the body had remained uncollected for over 24 hours after the matter was reported at Bob Broom's police post due to alleged lack of transport.
It was discovered that he had one thigh, the leg went up to one thigh, and then the other one is missing a foot. There's only a bone. And then also one hand has no skin. Seems like it was unskinned. We don't show. We want more patrols. In fact, even Namabas, they are operating up to awkward hours. So police should come in and make sure that they close. There are a lot of people that are going. So we are not too sure if this man belongs to Lusaka West or if he came from somewhere else.
I saw a backpack. It's black in color. And then there's a black bomber jacket. It's also black. Then there's a cape and shoes. So this is how I went there. We were in a company of some other 4 men. We went there. I hear that the police said the owner of the farm should bury that same decomposed body. Now how can he bury without information from the police? This is the question we are all asking. Yes, we need security, because if such things, the people report such things, we need them to act urgently as policemen in the community.
Camnet News also contacted police spokesperson Ray Hamonga over the incident.
Matri Station received a report of sudden and natural death through our Bob Broom's police post. This was a report that was received through Bob Broom's police post, in which male Kachiza Manyondi, age 63, of farm number 117A Mungu Road, who reported that in his farm there was a dead body of an identified male person aged between 25 and 30 years. The same was found in a decomposed state and the legs were eaten by animals. This is believed to have occurred at a known date and today and yesterday, 5th June 2023, at a known time. Police visited the scene and the body has since been buried today.
The community members have emphasized on police patrols to ensure security in the community and prevent similar incidents from recurring. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
KAMPASA community representatives have vowed to take on Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Elijah Muchima over the land saga involving them and Galunia farms. Earlier this week, the lands minister insisted that he will not condone United Party for National Development UPND cadres to be administering land illegally. This is in a matter where some KAMPASA community members in Chongwe district have been implicating Area Member of Parliament Sylvia Masebo of working with Galunia farms to disadvantage them. But KAMPASA community members in a walk-in interview with Camnet News say the land in question belongs to the government, hence they opted to take it over in the wake of the population increase in the area. More in this report.
Land administration in Zambia has remained among major challenges the country has been grappling with. The story of KAMPASA is one that continues to take turns and twists as the residents and the purported United Party for National Development UPND sympathizers, Galunia Farms and Chongwe Area Member of Parliament Sylvia Masebo are at the center of the land controversy. On Sunday, 4th June 2023, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources Elijah Muchima vowed not to entertain purported UPND cadres to be allocating and selling the said land with impunity, like was the case under the Patriotic Front administration.
Land, I've seen it. It's here. You can come and verify the information. What we don't want is, with arrogance, impunity, to start that theft. Because we are in power, no. We are in power because of you people. You need to protect everyone. We got to 2.8 million. Those votes didn't come only from the party. It came from the persuading majority of the people who had opened to us.
But this statement does not sit well with the land claimants who have vowed to take on the minister.
We are talking about Minudundeke. So where people were staying is a remainder of Farm 33A, which was a government land. But why you, minister, you are saying no, that land is for Galu, without even getting more information from us. So we are asking, we are challenging you as a minister. If you are not capable in that office, it's better you move out, then other people that can come and control that ministry. Because there are a lot of things which is happening in that Ministry of Lands. So, sir, we are appealing to you, Muchima. Don't address us as cadres. Because you are trying to blackmail in the name but that we are cadres. So to silence us, to think the president, to think that no, those are cadres who are doing that. That is wrong. We are community people from KAMPASA. And if you are saying cadres, ushema cadres wana chokela kumamba. Bankara pants.
They say the minister should have called both parties to explain their case.
Then ma subdivision anapanga in the same land ya manager amena claim at land yanga. In which title? Ma entries yalikuti. At pass ma entries to say ma entries niya. Wala. So kulibe. Tinaenda kukanso kulibe. Tinaenda ku Ministry of Land kulinga twakamba the same ministry yatu ise. No. Then if ngatwakangiwa kusebenza, let bachokemo because as a minister ukangiwa kusacrifice pa paperwork. But bantu community amena kwamba makadaz bakutandizira even kusacrifice. Because even by a meeting taleta mapepa. Even president lelo aita declare to say itanani wa KAMPASA balete ma specialist. Not even wa Ministry of Land, ma specialist wenangu because bakaleta ku Ministry of Land. Baza waita intimidate sasa karondorola because ni civil servant. So chametifuna tifuna chilungamo wafuna cheba nyonge landi jalieni badieveka chabe ndeva ne wafuna.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Council of Churches in Zambia, CCZ General Secretary Father Emmanuel Chikoya has challenged all churches in Zambia to adopt the message of combating climate change to help create awareness. Speaking at the Salvation Army Citadel in Lusaka, where the council was carrying out sensitization on climate change, Father Chikoya says the country should move away from a culture of waiting for funding from the international community and lead the way in dealing with its own problems. He notes that the recent disasters witnessed in the country recently caused by climate change should act as a wake-up call on the need to act collectively in combating climate change. More in this report.
The negative effects of climate change are no longer only heard of in faraway countries, As Zambia in the recent years has had first-hand experience through disasters like floods, which have seen crops destroyed and people displaced, as well as droughts in other areas, incidents that have increased vulnerability and poverty. The Council of Churches in Zambia, CCZ, says the fight against climate change is a discussion that also needs to be taken to churches, as this is where many people are found and are most likely to stop climate change causing behavior such as plastic pollution if the message is from faith leaders. He was speaking at the Salvation Army Citadel in Lusaka's George compound, where the church, along with other partners, were carrying out a sensitization meeting.
You know, this culture of wanting funding from somewhere in order to do things. The issues of the environment are our own personal responsibility and they will benefit ourselves. We've just been told about Manjapamosi and how they are, you know, turning waste plastic into money. And so churches can even raise money for that matter using that kind of model. And we have so many functions. So it's a responsibility, every head of church, every leader in the Sunday school, in the youth, and every individual Christian must come on board and take responsibility to care for the environment, beginning where we are. You don't need money in order to ensure that you have clean surroundings. You don't throw litter around and things of that nature. You don't need funding from anybody. It's a mindset and attitude change that has to take place.
Meanwhile, partners present such as Dakonya Zambia added their voice.
We need to make the place where we are better. We don't know when we will get out of there. Yes. Okay? Okay, we might throw litter and yet God allows us to live for 10, 20 more years and will be adversely affected. So for me that message really has ground to all. God has given us life. We don't know how long we'll live. So we should take care of this earth because we don't know how long we'll live on it. But even if we die, not everyone is dying. Our children are remaining on earth. Do we want them to have a worse of environment than we have? No.
The education on climate change was spearheaded by various officials from CCZ, and participants also voiced out on what they had learned.
We are trying to promote various ways of, if I use a bottle, monga is soap. Those are the solutions. Takambati, my plastics, and my problems, just yana monga. Tikataira my drainage are blocking. When the rains come, the drainages are no longer able to take away the water. Nishima floods. My floods leads to chani, matenda monga, cholera. It is SOS. The rain patterns you've seen, look at what happened in Malawi. Malawi became 10. Because of the same energy. So if you keep on thinking that energy, my organization is a sense of such for energy. And you're not planting, you're just cutting.
It is hoped that sensitization will result in desired change. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
New Congress Party leader Peter Chanda has officially written to the Road Development Agency, RDA, the government to explain how it awarded a contract for the construction of roads in New Kasama, including the road which passes through the community house, without allegedly advertising the tender. Speaking when he toured the roads Thursday, the 6th of May 2023, Mr. Chanda challenged the Road Development Agency to disclose when an advert for the construction of the said road was issued and how much is being spent on the roads. Mr. Chanda has further questioned the Road Development Agency for authorizing the road works on private property. More in this report.
Opposition New Congress Party President Peter Chanda has continued to ask questions over the newly constructed roads in part of Lusaka's Chalala area and in New Kasama near the community house. The area of Zambia's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema is experiencing a facelift, being the vicinity where the Republican President resides, given that he has opted to remain at his personal house at the expense of Nkwazi House, which is owned by the Zambian government. Mr. Chanda, who recently toured the roads, went back to the site where he addressed the press that he has written to the Road Development Agency RDA, questioning the alleged failure to advertise the tender. This fence is part of the property belonging to a well-known businessman and former associate of the previous administration and is earmarked for demolition to pave way for the construction of the roads.
We have written to RDA to question them as to when the contract was advertised, who were the bidders, and who was singled out as a successful bidder, who is the main contractor, and who are the site engineers. At the same time, we asked the Lusaka City Council planning to ask them as to when were they plan to upgrade the feeder road done.
According to Mr. Chanda, the cost for the roads and the contractor are unknown, further stating that this is tantamount to corruption, which the UPND administration has been speaking against.
Now, we have seen all the way the tarmac has been done respecting people's properties, but here where we are standing, a Lusaka businessman, after seeing the interview that we did with various media on that particular, they queried to say they've entered into this land. They've left the main feeder road that was there here in New Kasama a long time ago. That main feeder road, as you can see there, has been left behind, and they've encroached into the land en route to break the offense. So we call upon the RDA to desist from being malicious on people's properties. As you can see, they broke all the pillars that he had put without even asking. They've entered into his land. This is a legally owned land which is on title. So my call to the RDA is that we have written a letter to you and we're expecting the answers.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Leader of the opposition in Parliament, Brian Mundubile, has accused the government of coming up with policies meant to collapse the agricultural sector, citing the move by the Food Reserve Agency not to buy soybeans from farmers. Mr. Mundubile says the United Party for National Development administration, in its own pronouncements, mentioned that they intended to diversify the agricultural sector because most of the farming activities were revolving around maize production. Mr. Mundubile has therefore wondered why the policies are not corresponding to government pronouncements. Mr. Mundubile said failure to buy soybeans is unfortunate because it will cast a dark spell on the agricultural sector.
The sudden changes in policy within government, it will actually collapse the already struggling agricultural sector. We were hoping that now that the UPND clearly failed on the input distribution, they will try to revive the agricultural sector by improving on the marketing of the crop. So we find that on both sides of the value chain, they collapse the distribution of inputs. They are now collapsing even the marketing side of the value chain. This is very unfortunate, and I really would want to know. I would like to get into the mind of the agriculture minister and the president to try and descend from their wisdom where they want to take the agriculture sector.
United Party for National Development, UPND Deputy Secretary General Gertrude Imenda, says the management letter from the Auditor General's office seeking to know the whereabouts of the 65 million kwacha that was recovered from Faith Musonda was prematurely released to the public as it is part of the ongoing audit investigations. In an interview, Ms. Imenda says the audit process is however routine and does not imply in any way that the money is indeed missing, but simply a query that relevant authorities needed to respond to for a conclusion to be made. She, however, states that the leaking of ongoing investigations at the Auditor General's office calls for serious investigations, as this implies that there are insiders willing to leak confidential information.
So the management letter is just part of the audit process, part of the seeking information and clarification and examination of records and things like that. So they want that information so that they can now complete their audit report. Now for somebody, that management letter is confidential because the audit process has not completed. Now you leak that document, which means you are preempting the outcome of the audit report, because the whole idea of auditing is that the auditor at a certain point at the end of it will issue a report, will issue an audit opinion. And it starts like, we have examined the books of account, the records, and so on, and any other information, and the transactions. And in our opinion, this is our opinion. Now, that's when they will give a final opinion to say, well, in our opinion, maybe this, we have these concerns and things like that. But for me, the concern is the person who leaked that document, because it appears we have people whose loyalty is not with the current government, even though they are working in the government. Well, their loyalty is somewhere else.
A director of finance at the Auditor General's office, Tamara Ngoma, 57, has testified that former Secretary to the Treasury, Fred Sonyamba, and former Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Malanji were not part of a procurement submission to buy a chancery in Turkey. Mrs. Ngoma, who formerly worked at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, testified before Magistrate Irene Wishimanga in a case where Mr. Malanji is charged with 8 counts of being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, while Mr. Yamba is facing 2 counts of willful failure to comply with applicable law contrary to the laws of Zambia. More in this report.
A former worker at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Tamara Ngoma, 57, has testified that former Foreign Affairs Minister Joe Malanji and former Secretary to the Treasury, Fred Sonyamba, were never part of a procurement submission to buy a chancery in Ankara, Turkey. Mrs. Ngoma, who worked at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from 2018 to 2022, explains that she was supervising 40 missions at the time. In her testimony, she recalls that in early 2020, in one of the procurement meetings, a submission to buy a chancery in Turkey was made, citing where 2 external members, directors, head of procurement, legal counsel for the ministry, Lydia Matapo, among others, being present. She explains that the committee's proceedings were chaired by the then Permanent Secretary, Ronald Semwinga, as per the advice Counsel Lydia Matapo provided. Mrs. Ngoma, who is now Director of Finance at Auditor's General Office, says there was advice that the request be cleared by the Attorney General's chambers. She did not indicate whether there was a clearance or not, testifying before Magistrate Irene Wishimanga that after she returned from leave, she was informed that the Ministry of Finance financed funds for the procurement of a chancery in Turkey. She says a reversal of the said funds by the Ministry of Finance for procurement of property in Turkey was made to allow the mission to have space for their expenditures. Meanwhile, in cross-examination, Mrs. Ngoma explains that the duo, Yamba and Malanji, were nowhere at the Ministerial Procurement Committee. In this matter, Mr. Yamba is accused of having failed to follow procedure in relation to the buying of an estate in Turkey, and Malanji is accused of being in possession of a hotel and helicopters, property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime. Mr. Yamba is charged with 2 counts of willful failure to comply with the applicable law, while Malanji is charged with 8 counts of being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. Magistrate Irene Wishimanga has adjourned the matter to June 9th, 2023. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Former Lusaka Province Minister Bowman Lusambo has failed to appear before resident magistrate Davis Chibwili due to an illness. This is in a matter in which Lusambo is facing 2 counts of possession of property reasonably suspected of being proceeds of crime, contrary to the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act. Mr. Lusambo in the count is alleged to have between May 1, 2015 and December 31, 2021 in Lusaka, jointly and whilst acting together with other persons unknown, possess property number comprising a single-story 4-bedroom dwelling house, guest wing, gazebo, and a car shed located in Lusaka's Chamba Valley. Property reasonably suspected of being proceeds of crime. In the second count, it is alleged that between May 1, 2015 and December 31, 2021, Lusambo jointly and whilst acting together with others unknown did possess an incomplete block of 6 flats. But when the matter came up for a possible plea, Mr. Lusambo is reportedly sick and could not appear before Resident Magistrate Davis Chiwili, who adjourned the matter to the 5th and 7th of July 2023. The Economic and Financial Crimes Court Resident Magistrate Davis Chiwili has set the 14th of July for ruling to determine whether or not former Deputy Inspector General of Police Charity Katanga has a case to answer or not. This is in a case in which Mrs. Katanga is facing one count of possessing property suspected to be proceeds of crime. More in the following report.
Lusaka Magistrate Davis Chiwili has set July 14, 2023 as a day to rule on a case or no case to answer in a matter where former Deputy Inspector General of Police Charity Katanga pleaded not guilty to one count of possessing property reasonably suspected of being proceeds of crime. Meanwhile, Chief Investigation Officer Drug Enforcement Commission DEC has testified before the court that Katanga already bought 5 buses before she got her gratuities. Edwin Mwanza, 44, was testifying in a matter in which Katanga is facing one count of possessing property reasonably suspected of being proceeds of crime, contrary to Section 71(1) of the Forfeiture of the Proceeds of Crime Act No. 19 of 2010 of the laws of Zambia. He testified that Katanga bought 10 buses from Haiga Bus Company Limited, owned by Mr. Wu Ming, between 2017 and 2021. Mr. Mwanza says according to his findings, there was no single vehicle registered in Chiweka Express Limited but in the names of Katanga. He further told the court that Katanga bought each one of the buses at 203,000 United States dollars on condition of 50% down payment. Mr. Mwanza disclosed to the court that the summary of the total gratuity paid to Katanga for the period she was serving in various positions was 3,411,377 kwacha 28 ngwe. He says he interviewed Zambia police accountant in charge of salaries and revenue, who gave him the documents of salaries that were paid from January 2017 to December 2021. He further submits that it was at that point he started looking at the expenditures over the year against the known sources of income. Mr. Mwanza says in 2018, the total expenditure for the buses was 273,000 United States dollar against a salary of slightly above 342,000 kwacha. When translated into dollar, according to the exchange rate, it was translating into over 2.9 million kwacha. He says he then decided to arrest Katanga and charge her with an offense of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. It is alleged that Charity Katanga between January 1st, 2017 and June 6, 2022 in Lusaka, jointly and whilst acting together with other persons unknown, did possess 10 Haiga buses, altogether valued at 26,282,770 kwacha, property suspected to be proceeds of crime. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet Television and not just another channel. Join us for more news after the break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our Zesco units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, chew me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The Zambians for Unity, Peace and Development ZUPED Executive Director Ronnie Jere is saddened by the continued incarceration of Dr. Chris Zumani-Zimba for over a week now without taking him to court. Mr. Jere is dismayed that law enforcement officers have decided to abrogate the law by keeping him for over 8 days, more than the stipulated 48 hours, without taking him to court. He says this is a clear abuse of authority by the UP and the government, which was voted into power to uphold the rule of law. Mr. Jere further says it is contrary to the rule of law as enshrined in the Zambian constitution, as well as a violation of Dr. Chris Zumani-Zimba's human rights.
We are saddened by the continued incarceration of Dr. Chris Zumani-Zimba without taking him to court for over 8 days now. The law is very clear about wrongdoers. We are dismayed by the fact that even when Dr. Zumani-Zimba qualifies to be given a bond, the law enforcement agencies have decided to ignore the law and kept him incarcerated for over a week. This is a clear violation of his human rights and a clear abrogation of the law. We demand that Dr. Zimba be released on bond or be taken to court so that he can apply for bail. President Hakainde Hichilema has been consistent in demanding that law enforcement agencies should investigate cases before they make arrests. But in this case, we have realized that law enforcement agencies went to pick up Comrade Dr. Zumani-Zimba, incarcerated him without even making investigations. We make this conclusion because it has taken over 8 days now without him being brought before the courts so that he can be able to exculpate himself.
Kabata constituency Member of Parliament Andrew Tayengwa has urged youths to seize various opportunities under the Constituency Development Fund CDF in order to improve their livelihoods. The Kabata Member of Parliament was speaking during the handover of over 2 million kwacha to youth and women cooperatives in the constituency Tuesday. Meanwhile, Lusaka District Administrative Officer O'Neil Chia has called on beneficiaries to use the funds prudently, stating that this will be a measure on the viability of empowerment programs under CDF.
This issue of CDF is not only for the community alone or so-called members that belong to other political parties. I'm calling upon the church to come on board so that we can work together and see how best we can develop our constituency. The church is employed that we will work together in terms of developing our constituency. So therefore, I want to call all upon the pastors within the constituency, together with the priests or fathers, that you come on board. We see how best we can help our constituents to develop. Lastly, I want to let you know, that people of Kawat, that we have good intentions for our constituents. We intend to start developing some of the projects, some of the words that we have within the constituency.
I'm well aware that various CDF works are going on in your constituency. To mention just a few, the ablution block at Chilenje Level 1, the rehabilitation of Livara Market, the mother's shelter at Michael Chilofia Rockfield Clinic, construction of a 1x3 classroom block at Kamara Primary, wall fence at Lilai Primary School, water recreation and West Bay, and the boreholes being drilled in the Livara and Kawata wards.
Government says there is need to transform the fisheries and aquaculture subsector in order to enhance sustainable fisheries and aquaculture development. Speaking at the launch of the National Fisheries and Aquaculture Policy in Lusaka, Fisheries and Livestock Minister Makozo Chikote observed that the sector has the potential to contribute significantly to the economic development of the country. Mr. Chikote says currently the sector contributes about 3.2% to the agricultural gross domestic product and provides mainstay to over 1 million people in the country. He says the policy, which was developed in consultation with various stakeholders, makes a significant milestone in the development of aquaculture in Zambia. He says the policy aims at providing guidance on the implementation of fisheries and aquaculture programs in Zambia. Mr. Chikote said this in a speech read on his behalf by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock, Anna Songolo.
This policy marks a significant milestone in the development of the fisheries and aquaculture subsector, as it is the first ever fisheries policy in the history of the country. As you may be aware, the fisheries and aquaculture subsector plays a critical role in our national development agenda. It contributes significantly to food and nutritional security, employment creation, foreign exchange earnings through fish exports. The subsector is also a vital source of livelihood for many of our citizens, especially the riparian fishing communities. This notwithstanding, it is a subsector that faces numerous challenges, including overfishing, habitat destruction, threats of invasive species, aquatic diseases, illegal and reported and unregulated fishing, as well as climate change. These challenges, therefore, made it imperative that we come up with a comprehensive policy framework that provides direction and guidance for the development and growth of the fisheries and aquaculture subsector.
The African swine fever disease affecting pigs has broken out in Zambezi district of Northwestern Province, leaving more than 21 pigs dead from more than 11 pig owners in the Central Veterinary Camp affecting the Central Business District. Northwestern Provincial Veterinary Officer in the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock, Peter Banda, has confirmed the development to National Agricultural Information Services, NAIS, in Solwezi. Dr. Banda has described the disease affecting the pigs as a contagious viral disease with no specific treatment, saying the disease can spread or transmit through live pigs or pork products. Here's a report.
Animal health remains key to the growth and development of the agriculture sector. For the country to sustain its livestock industry, government strives to promote healthy animals among the small-scale and commercial farmers countrywide. However, animal disease outbreaks can affect the livelihoods of small and large-scale livestock farmers. In Zambezi district of Northwestern Province, African swine fever disease has hit the Central Veterinary Camp, claiming more than 21 pigs so far. Northwestern Provincial Veterinary Officer Peter Banda has confirmed the development in Solwezi.
The District Veterinary Office started receiving reports
about suspected African swine fever around 15th May 2023. When the district went on the ground to do investigation, they found that for sure pigs were dying and were showing signs typical of African swine fever. To that effect, the officers collected the samples from the pigs that had died and sent them to Lusaka for confirmatory diagnosis. And the results have come back from Lusaka, where all the samples that were sent have come out positive of African swine fever. I can confirm that we have outbreak of African swine fever in Zambezi district. The outbreak so far has been recorded in the Central Veterinary Camp of Zambezi District, which also includes the Central Business Center, the CBD. And so far, about 11 pig owners or farmers have reported pigs dying from their pens. And around 1,625 are the pigs that are at risk in the Central Veterinary Camp.
Dr. Banda also disclosed that the ministry, working with other stakeholders, have put in place some measures to contain the disease.
Some of the immediate measures we have put in place are we have suspended all the slaughters of pigs in the central business of Zambezi district, and we have also banned or rather suspended the movement of in and out of pigs and pork products into and out of Zambezi. And also we are in touch with the headquarters for support.
The provincial veterinary officer had an appeal to make.
Therefore, we are urging the general public and our farmers to adhere to all the control measures that we have put in place. Chavuma and Zambezi, who are the neighboring districts to this outbreak, to report to the nearest vet any pigs that may show signs of African swine fever.
Zambezi is the latest district hit by the African swine fever, with the Department of Veterinary declaring no in and out of pig animals or its products in the district. Krivat Tuta, reporting in Soros District, Northwestern Province.
We'll take our second and final break. Join us for international and sports news after the break.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. In our international news tonight, Kenyan demonstrators marched in the capital Tuesday as they protested the cost of living crisis and a new finance bill set to implement fresh or increased taxes. The proposed legislation, known as the Finance Bill 2023, calls for new or increased taxes on a wide range of items, including fuel and food, as well as beauty products, cryptocurrencies, and social media influencers. Police fired several volleys of tear gas and arrested 11 people, bundling them into a police truck to try to disperse the demonstration, AFP journalists at the scene said. Here's the news beyond our borders for more.
Kenyan police fired tear gas as demonstrators marched Tuesday in Nairobi against a new finance bill targeting micro businesses and amending various tax laws. The protesters waved placards reading, "Poverty is man-made," or "The poor cannot sleep because they are hungry." 11 people were arrested. The demonstrators reportedly marched to Parliament, where the bill will soon be tabled for a new reading.
We are witnessing some chaos, which is not right for us as Kenyans. We need to live like we are in a country. We don't have to have fear that we are going to be chased because we are fighting for our rights. So, people are in the streets to demonstrate their anger, their frustrations, to demonstrate everything.
The proposed new taxes are expected to generate 289 billion shillings. It will affect a wide range of items including fuel and food, as well as beauty products and social media influencers. President Ruto seeks to fill the government's depleted coffers. We are demonstrating because the cost of living is high. We want it to come down because most of the youth are unemployed. We have single mothers who are unable to cater for themselves. It is imperative for the cost of living to come down. Critics have accused President Ruto of rowing back on promises made during the August 2022 election campaign. At the time, he presented himself as a champion of the downtrodden. Countries marked Monday, the 50th World Environment Day. Côte d'Ivoire was this year's host country. The Ivorian Environment Minister announced on the occasion the upcoming implementation of a new environmental code against plastic pollution in the nation. He held a press conference in Abidjan with the director of the UN Environment Programme. Any importer of plastic products is responsible for the end of life of these products. So that's one of the measures, and it's going to lead to decrease detailing the modalities of application of the law. These will in turn obviously lead to decrease regulating the waste sector, which includes plastic waste naturally. Despite a ban on plastic bags in 2013, the country officially produces over 200,000 tons of them. NGOs believe alternatives need to be presented to consumers. When banning, we have to propose something new, something that might enable people who are used to using plastic bags to switch to what they're going to be offered. Unfortunately, this hasn't been done yet, and that's what we're working on. The theme of this year's day was Beat Plastic Pollution. Last week, delegates in Paris working to end global plastics pollution agreed to craft a draft treaty.
Normalcy is finally settling in Senegal after deadly confrontations between the police and the supporters of the embattled opposition leader Ousmane Sonko after Dakar court found him guilty on charges of corrupting the youths. The bustling city once again came back to its usual routine with informal establishment, which accounts for a larger percentage of workers resuming its activities. Some of the city residents say the demos are economically unsustainable. We really hope that the demonstrations will stop so that activities can resume. We've got Tabaski coming up in less than a month and lots of other events to prepare for, but nothing's happening at the moment. I really want things to get back to normal so that we can meet our needs. Today is calm, which is why I've gone out to work, even if it's as precarious calm, because people are still afraid and fear that the demonstrations will resume. The demonstrations are destroying everything in their path, and I don't think that's right. These are difficult times. We live from day to day, so going days without work is a real problem because our business are at standstill. The movement of people is complicated and we can no longer earn a daily income. The informal sector is our livelihood and is the sector most affected. Clashes between Sonko's supporters and police broke out after the ruling, leading to 16 deaths over 3 days. According to government figures, shops and businesses were ransacked.
It's now time for sports news. With Chipolopolo coach Avram Grant opening up on his choice for the international camp for the Chipolopolo ahead of the June 17 AFCON qualifier against Ivory Coast, the team has set up base in Johannesburg. Grant told a media briefing on Monday that he had opted for a quiet camp away from home to ensure maximum concentration and away from distractions for the team. 21 lads have set up camp with more expected later in the evening as they fly from their European bases directly to join camp. Zambia plays Ivory Coast on June 17 in Ndola at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium in a Group H Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. Tickets for the match are already on sale via CompuTicket across all ShopRite outlets. That sporting story brings us to the end of the news. Before we go, the headlines once again. Former Deputy Inspector General of Police, her fate in corruption case. KAMPASA land claimants criticized Lands Minister for labeling them as CADRES. Government urged to rescind its stance on purchasing of soybeans. In international news, Kenyans protest against plans to hike taxes. And in sports news, CHIPOLOPOLO arrive in South Africa for camp ahead of Elephants Clash. The Camnet verse of the day is coming from Proverbs 10 verse 7. The name of the righteous is used in blessings, but the name of the wicked will rot. Once again, thank you for watching Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.